Okay, welcome again to the new episode of Naturang Batas. I'm your host, Jamay Gatula. Since the show is on Naturang Batas, the topic that we have today is on natural law, naturally. And we hope to discuss what is natural law, why is it that so many people seem to be against the idea of there being a natural law, and is it true that natural law has buried several philosophers and lawyers in the past already? Now, to help us discuss natural law is one of our best friends at the University of Asia Pacific as well. And he's a man we call Father Ces, because that's his name. No, seriously, his name is Father Cecilio Magsino. He is a priest at the Opus Dei. And at the same time, he has received a doctoral degree from the Pontifical University of the Holy Cross. Definitely a very qualified person to discuss the topic now. So let's just go on to the heart of the matter. Father Ces, so what is natural law?
Well, so to define what is natural law, we'll have to understand first what is law, what is a law. And I'll give the definition that St. Thomas Aquinas gave for it. So he said that natural law is an ordering of reason. Then the further qualification, he said it is something that is made by somebody who has the authority to make a law. It is for the common good, and it is promulgated. So that definition of the law fits what we call natural law or naturang batas. But then, why is it called natural? So what makes it natural, or what makes it different from any other law? Well, so to understand that, I think first I will have to clarify that what we're talking about here, the natural law, is not a code, which many people think that's what the law is. A set of rules, a set of laws that are gathered together in a piece of paper.
It's not a code like the civil code.
A code. So some people think, so it's a code that you have law 1, law 2, law 3, law 4, like that. Because natural law is not that. It's not a code. But it is identified by the conceivers of this concept ever since antiquity. It is identified with human right reason. So when human reason works correctly, and the reason that we're talking about here is not just any reason, it is practical reason and it is right reason, then that gives us what we call the natural law.
How is natural law to be distinguished from the law of nature? I've heard of somebody once asked, like for example, if somebody, for example, gets a rock, and then that rock is thrown at another person, that person will definitely get hurt or have a headache. Is that a good illustration of natural law, or it actually pertains to something else?
That's what you can call a law of nature. But what we're talking about here is not quote unquote laws of nature, but we call it the natural law. The problem is the word nature has different meanings, and nature, for example, can mean everything, the whole of creation. We call that nature. Or nature can mean the essence of something. Or nature can mean the physical part of something like man, the nature of man, his biological nature, and so forth. But here, when we say the natural law, we're not talking about laws of nature as in laws of physics, laws of chemistry, and so forth. But we're talking about a law, an ordering that affects human life and what is good and what is evil in human life. So it's a very, very concrete concept and a very concrete law that applies to human beings insofar as their life, their actions are concerned. And it has to do with goodness and with evil. And this law is innate in him because reason is innate in us, and this law is given by reason. And insofar as it is in reason, inherent in reason, that's why we call it natural. It's natural to man.
So essentially, you're talking here of a set of precepts because of the fact that man can use reason. Kumbaga, nag-iisip siya, and therefore from here you can determine whether or not this is something that's good for man.
That's right.
And this is something that's not good for man.
That's right.
Sa tao, which seems harmless enough. I mean, I think it's kumbaga logical or reasonable man lang isipin na ang gusto ng tao is gumawa ng mabuti, umiwas sa mali. But how come ang daming tao, mga aktivista and what have you, especially in the United States, and now that we're introducing this concept or reintroducing this concept again of natural law sa Philippines, a lot of people seems to be against the idea of a natural law. Why is that?
Well, so it seems to me that the demands of natural law, which is the same as the demands of the truth about man, are perhaps not very acceptable to many people. And that's why they will not accept the natural law. Because
if I may stop at that point, but all laws naman make demands eh. What is so special about natural law that make people hate it such?
Well, so its demands seem to be not very, you might say, acceptable or easy or fashionable or and so forth. So because the laws that some countries right now might be promulgating precisely might contravene demands of the natural law or might go against the natural law because that's it, what the natural law might tell them what is right and wrong is not very perhaps easy to accept, or it's not very,
it goes against the fashions of the day,
fashion or the trend or the culture. So examples of laws against marriage, like the gay civil marriages or same-sex unions,
marriages, yes.
Or
even I think against with regard to contraception.
Also,
it would be said that natural law prescribes or prohibits the use of contraception.
That's right.
That's right. And I think we'll get to we'll discuss that more in detail later. But I do remember you saying earlier, you were mentioning something about natural law. Kumbaga, from the times of antiquity has been there. What do you mean by that? I mean, how old is natural law ba?
Well, I would say that natural law is as old as man. As soon as man came into being and could reason out, then he already has in him natural law. But on record, natural law is very, very old. The oldest reference that I can give for this is the play Antigone of Sophocles. He wrote it in 442 BC, even before Christ. Because in that play, the character Antigone was going to be given the death penalty for violating a law given by the king, Creon. The king said, "You cannot bury your brother who died." But then she defied the law and she buried the brother. And then so she was caught and she was going to be given the death penalty. And then in the trial, so the king asked, "So why did you do this if you knew the law?" Then she answered, "Well, I didn't know that a law made by a human being can contravene a law that is higher, that is made by the gods. You can think I deserve death. You can think I'm a fool for defying your law," which I was not afraid to do because I was more afraid of defying the law of God.
So in effect, you're saying Antigone was the very first recorded example of civil disobedience.
Yeah, and recourse to a law that is given to her not by a human authority, but by a divine authority.
Sophocles, I think, would be the first one recorded in history. I think there would be others, sila Cicero.
There's Cicero,
and then
there's Plato,
there's
even
Aristotle, Martin Luther, I think eventually would also
Martin
make
Luther
reference.
King.
And then Alexander Hamilton, Thomas Jefferson, even these all other people would make reference to natural law.
That's right.
And the interesting thing about it is that none of these guys are actually Catholics.
That's right.
They are either coming from certain religions or what have you. But for some reason, which we will discuss when we come back after the break, is that natural law has been almost considered as identical to or synonymous with the Catholic Church. And we'll try to understand why that happened when we come back. We'll just take a break for our sponsors, assuming we have sponsors. Welcome back. Father says, so we were talking earlier na natural law originated from antiquity, sila Sophocles, yung panahon pa ng Roman Empire, and then later on through other personalities, especially this American Revolution and such. Pero as I said before the break, for some reason, natural law has been related or has been parang as if tagged na isa siyang Catholic thing. Why is that? Considering na ang daming ang ibang pinanggalingan sources ng paggamit ng natural law.
Yes, because the most famous and extensive and systematic teacher and propagator of the idea of natural law is Saint Thomas Aquinas, who is a Catholic Dominican and theologian. And then after him, the Catholic Church has been very, very vocal about issues on human life and on society, but also on the basis of arguments from reason or from natural law. So it seems that in the world today, it is the only institution that is defending it and that is talking a lot about it. And that's why it has been somehow identified with the Catholic Church.
And I think the Church itself has made the pronouncement that it's supposed to be the most, because of its history starting from Aquinas, na it is supposed to be the most authoritative interpreter of what natural law is.
Well, the Church claims, the Magisterium claims that it is the defender. Its role is to defend the truth about man, about his creation, about God, truths that are the basis of the natural law. So if the Church defends the truth about man, about life, about God, then it will also have to defend the natural law.
But having said that, so natural law, even though ang pinaka-most systematic interpreter nito or defender would be the Church, because yung mga pinagsasabi nyo kanina na this is based on reason, sa pag-iisip ng tao, tama nga ba sabihin na ang natural law para sa Katoliko lang? Or ibig bang sabihin natin na kung ikaw ay Muslim, ikaw ba ay Hindu or Buddhist or kung ano man yung pinapaniwalaan mo, whether or not naniniwala ka sa Diyos o hindi, tama ba sabihin na because iisa lang yung reason, iisa lang yung logic, lahat ito applicable sa lahat ng tao pagdating sa natural law?
Yes, tama yon. So, natural law, hindi yan para sa Katoliko lang. Dahil ang natural law, nakabata yan sa right reason, sa tamang pag-iisip. At lahat naman ng tao, gusto nilang mag-isip ng tama. So therefore, applicable ang natural law sa lahat ng tao.
Meron silang sinasabi na, nabanggit na rin natin kanina, na yung mga tao na against sa natural law, ito yung mga tipong nag-a-advocate, for example, ng same-sex marriage or nag-a-advocate for contraception. Ang binigay nilang alternatibo sa natural law ay yung tinatawag na positive law theory. Ano ba yung positive law theory?
Yung theory na yon, sinasabi na ang tama at mali, ang dapat gawin mo o hindi dapat mong gawin, binibigay yan ng batas na ginawa ng tao. Human laws determine what ought to be done and what ought not to be done. Kaya tinawag na positive, galing sa Latin na posit, ibig sabihin, ginawa o binigay ng tao.
Kung baga sinasabi niyo ho, pag sinabi kunyari ng Kongreso na ito yung batas, dapat yung sundin na. Pero ang sinasabi ng natural law, medyo hindi yata ganun, medyo iba ng konti.
Ang natural law kasi, ang turo sa atin ng ito, halimbawa ni St. Augustine, si St. Thomas, tsaka ang simbahan, sinasabi na ang human law, ang batas na ginawa ng tao, ay hindi siya magiging obligatory kung siya ay labag sa natural law, kung siya ay immoral, kung siya ay hindi tama.
So parang sinasabi niyo ho na yung natural law ay mas mataas kaysa sa human law. Or kunyari, pag gumawa ng batas ng Kongreso, ang batayan natin kung tama o mali ba itong batas ng Kongreso or kailangan ba dapat sundin itong batas ng Kongreso, kung ito ba'y sumasang-ayon sa natural law.
Ganun nga, yun. Tama yun.
So para bang, ang lalabas bang konklusyon nito na kung meron kang batas na galing sa Kongreso na hindi sumasang-ayon sa natural law, para bang tama ba na sabihin na para bang duty ng isang tao na wag sumunod do sa batas ng Kongreso na yon? Or parang like yung sinasabi nga natin kanina kay Antigone is yung parang civil disobedience.
Medyo complicated ang topic na yan, no? Pero ang prinsipyo ay ang isang batas, a human law that is against the natural law is unjust. Hindi siya makatarungan. And therefore, the people are obliged not to follow it. Because to follow it will mean committing some moral evil in some form or another. Kaya dapat hindi susundin yung batas na yon. Pero yung civil disobedience, mas complicated pa yan kaysa yung sabi mo, hindi dapat sundin yan. Because in some cases, one might have to tolerate obeying an unjust law in order to avoid greater harm. So, yan, kailangan i-winaway pa yan para maalaman mo kung anong dapat gawin.
Pero I think history has also given examples na nagkontra yung natural law at saka yung positive law. Like I think nung panahon ng World War II, nung sinabi ng Nazi Germany as Hitler na dapat yung mga Jews daw pagpapatayin, ilagay sa concentration camp, yung batas na pinagbatayan nila is actually gawa ng kanilang legislatura. Or nung panahon ng sa America, for example, no 1950s ba yun or 1940s, na pag sinabi na kung ikaw ay negro or black, na dapat yung mga rights mo ay mas mababa kaysa sa rights ng mga puti.
Yes.
Again, that law na kung saan pinagbabatayan yung mga rules na yun is illegal kasi galing sa Congress Pero I think from what we know, yun yung mga dapat na hindi dapat sinusunod dahil nag-go against siya sa yung tinatawag nating natural law.
Yes.
One thing that also, yun nga, parang you also hinted is, may danger nga lang na baka mamaya, each and every person will decide na, well, pwede ko palang wag sundin tong batas na to kasi laban to sa konsensya ko. Tama ba yung pag-iisip na yon?
Yung konsensya, yan yung ating pag-iisip na ina-apply ang natural law, ang alam nating tama at mali, by nature, sa concrete case. Kaya yung konsensya, pwedeng iba-iba yan. Iba-iba yung pag-judge ng tao. Sometimes tama yung konsensya, sometimes mali rin siya. At saka yung pag-apply kasi ng natural law sa concrete case, kailangan niya ng isang virtue. Ang tawag dyan ay prudence. Ang tamang paggawa or tamang pag-iisip tungkol sa ating mga ginagawa. Pero yung natural law, kung ano yung tama at mali, yan ay para sa lahat and the same and universal at hindi natin pwede sabihin para sa akin ito yung tama, para sa iyo yan yung tama, para sa kanya ganon.
Kumbaga para ho like yung murder, kahit ba Katoliko ka or Muslim ka,
yes,
murder will always be wrong. It doesn't
That's
matter
right.
kung ano religion mo.
That's right.
Or pagnanakaw or adultery.
That's right.
I think pero again, how do we know na itong bagay na to sumasang-ayon sa natural law? Parang is there any tip? I know this is complicated, pero would there be any sort of guide para sa tao para malaman nila na kung ito bang gagawin nila ay sumasang-ayon sa natural law o hindi?
Yes, ang guide dyan is really what we call right reason, tamang pag-iisip. And when reason is right, many people will agree, if not majority, of the people will agree. Like the examples that you gave, yung murder, yung pagnanakaw, yung injustice. Lahat naman tao na taong pag-iisip will agree na mali lahat yon, labag sa kabutihan or good ng tao. Kasi ang basis ng pag-iisip ng tao about what is right or wrong is in fact his very dignity, his own good. Natural law kasi protects the good of the person, his life, his dignity, his good, personal good, and the good in the family. Yan ang basis ng pagre-reason, pag-iisip ng tao para makita niya, ma-discern niya kung ano yung right, good, or wrong evil.
What if, for example, you take si Juan, tapos, kunyari, mahilig siyang uminom, it makes me happy, so therefore, this should be good for me. So, is that a correct interpretation ng paggamit ng natural law?
Hindi, kasi ang happiness or ang feeling, hindi yan ang batayan ng tamang pag-iisip. Kailangan gamitin talaga ang reasoning, ang logic. At kinukumpara ng logic o ng ating pag-iisip kung anong ginagawa natin, kung anong nangyayari sa ating dignidad bilang isang tao. And usually, ang tamang pag-iisip will reveal that what will be good, what will be right, are virtuous acts na tinatawag natin. So, and many people will agree.
I think one of the things na we kept talking about in the past also before is that ang kailangan nating i-emphasize is universality ng application ng natural law. Na hindi nga porke Katoliko ka o Muslim ka or Hindu or what have you, lahat tayo dapat sumang-ayon sa natural law because essentially ito yung nag-govern sa atin bilang pagkatao.
Yes.
Has there been would you feel that there have been issues right now in the Philippines that you believe that the application ng natural law would be quite useful na or influential as far as the Philippines is concerned?
Yes, because right now the debates about the reproductive health bill, that one has issues about the natural law. And then bills that are in the pipeline that I've heard are like the divorce bill,
and then the same-sex marriages as
bill.
well.
Also, those are natural law issues.
Although, kailangan nating emphasize sa audience is that pag itong mga batas na to ay pumasa, pwede nating masabi na baka mamaya nga legal sila. Pero ang problema is baka mamaya itong mga batas na to ay lalabag sa natural law and therefore isang magandang dahilan kung bakit hindi dapat nga siya ipasa na batas.
Yes.
We will discuss this more when we get back after the break, and this is going to be quite interesting. Please stay with us. Thank you. Okay, welcome back. So I think Father says we were talking about well, the heavy-duty stuff na contraception, abortion, same-sex marriage, and the like, divorce as well. So bottom line, just to cut to the para ma-shortcut na yung discussion, bottom line is that essentially is what you're saying is, let's say Congress nga passes the RH bill. So in essence, what you're saying is that even if Congress does pass the RH bill, and assuming that the RH bill is rendered, for example, by a court as constitutional, does that mean that people who actively follow their right reason, and even perhaps those who follow their own faith, would be justified in not obeying or complying with the RH bill? What is your take on that?
Well, so I'm assuming that what you're calling as the RH bill is what is now presently being discussed, that will have some provisions that will promote contraception. So assuming that's the law, or that bill becomes a law, then I would say that yes, that law would contravene the natural law. Immoral siya. And therefore, hindi siya pwedeng sundan ng kahit sino. Any person with right reason.
Oh, but I think we have to be a little bit medyo precise here. Hindi dahil yung tao, like for example, a Katoliko, hindi sinasabi natin hindi siya susunod sa batas na yun dahil hindi siya sinabi ng Catholic Church, but because porke mali talaga yung law na yun.
Yes,
is that what you're saying?
That's
okay.
right. It's against right reason. It's against natural law. So therefore, any person who uses reason correctly will realize that I cannot follow this law.
If you notice, we're actually joined here by one of our close friends. His name is Edwin Lopez, and he is a professor at the San Carlos University. Well, welcome to the show. We won't take up much of further time. I believe you have some questions for Father Ses.
Yeah, magandang araw sa iyo, Attorney Jemay, Father Ses. No? Ang isang katanungan ko, dahil madalas nating nadidinig ito, no? Ako ay tama, ikaw ay mali. No? Ano po ba talaga ang batayan ng tama o mali? Kanina nadinig ko po, sinabi niyo na ang batayan ng tama o mali ay kung ito ay moral o immoral. Pwede niyo po bang i-explain ito? Ano ba yung sinasabi nating ang tama ay sigon sa kung ano ang nakakabuti sa tao?
Yung kasing pag may dalawang tao, nag-aaway sila, ako yung tama, then magtatanong sila, bakit? Diba? So therefore, ang bottom line is reason, kung ano yung mga dahilan. But then, in the end, tatanong nila kung ano yung mga reasons batay sa kung ano yung magiging sang-ayon sa kanilang kabutihan, sa kanilang katauhan, sa kanilang dignidad bilang tao. Kasi bottom line yun. So, kasi, hindi tama yung ginagawa mo dahil nakakasakit sa akin yan. Hindi tama yung ginagawa mo dahil dinadaya mo ako. Hindi tama yung ginagawa mo dahil hindi mo ko binibigyan ng respeto, etc., etc. So, yung batayan in the end, yung sarili niyang pagkatao at kung ano yung nakakasakit sa kanya at kung ano yung sang-ayon sa kanyang dignidad.
Ibig sabihin, kung ito'y itinataguyod ang dignidad ng tao, ito ay mabuti.
Yun po,
ito ay tama. Kung ito'y nilalabag niya ang dignidad ng tao, ito po yung sinasabi natin.
Yun po yung mali.
Immoral. No? Pero sinasabi niyo po kanina, maganda po yung sinasabi niyo na sa pamamagitan ng gamit ng talino at rason, talagang mararating natin ang naturang batas. No?
Opo, tama po yun.
Kaya tama rin sinabi ni Attorney Jemay kanina na kahit iba ang relihiyon o maaring walang relihiyon. Minsan napapanood ko yung mga bata pag nag-aaway, ang daya mo. Minsan nagtataka ko, saan nanggagaling itong pagtaguyod o yung pinapangahalagahan, no? Yung honesty. Maaring Aprikano yung bata, hindi naman Katoliko. Diba? Yung iba komunista, wala naman Diyos, no? Ateista. Pero sinasabi nila, that is not fair. They demand justice.
Likas po sa tao yun eh.
Likas yun.
Yun ang sinasabi niyo ko na kumbaga yung natural law, yung pagiging likas sa tao.
Likas sa tao. Ibig sabihin, yun ang nagbibigay dignidad sa tao. Yung pinapangahalagahan niya. No? Pero saan po nanggagaling ang dignidad na to?
Ganun po, ginawa tayo ng Diyos eh. Ang ating pagkatao ay may katangian na ginagawang nasa ibabaw tayo sa lahat ng ibang mga bagay sa kalikasan. We are above any other creature because of the way we were created. And ano yung pinaka-specific na katangian na yan? Yan ang ating pagiging espiritual, meron tayong kaluluwa, meron tayong kaalaman, malayang kalooban. Yan ang nagdi-distinguish sa atin na bilang tao, bilang mga persona. Kaya tayo may dignidad.
Okay. Pero ibig sabihin, yung dignidad na yon ay nakatanim sa spiritual na katangian ng tao. Yung sinasabi niyo kanina na banal na katangian ng tao. Na pag inalis natin, binaba natin ang level ng tao sa isang hayop.
Yun po, tama po yun.
Kaya yung kaninang nadidinig kong sinasabi nyo na hindi pwedeng batayan ng tama o mali, ay pakiramdam lamang. No? Dahil tayo ay merong kakayahan, no? Yung tinatawag na free will, no? Malayang kalooban. Naloobin ang pinapangahalagahan natin, kagaya ng pagpapasensya. Hindi naman masarap sa pakiramdam magpasensya.
Hindi nga po,
hindi rin masarap sa pakiramdam ang umunawa sa isang taong ayaw mong unawain. No? O magbigay. Kaya maaring yan din yung kasagutan doon sa tanong kanina tungkol sa contraception. Na bagamat maaring walang pinapatay, posible bang sabihin natin na ang pinapatay po ng contraception ay yung pagkatao ng tao, yung dignidad niya. Kasi ninanakawan siya nung kanyang malayang loob, no? Na pangahalagahan, no? Ang pagmamahal, pagpipigil sa sarili.
Opo. Yun po tama po yung sinabi nyo. Kaya lang kailangan pag-isipan ng konti yon para maunawaan ng tao na ang nasisira sa contraception ay yung tao mismo. Kasi ang pinaka essence ng contraception, yung gamit ng pill o kung ano pang mga device na yan, ay yung tinatabi, yung pag-control, pagpigil, pag-unawa sa kanyang pagkatao at sa kanyang asawa para maging responsable yung kanilang married life. Kasi ang gumagamit kasi ng contraception, yan yung mga taong, sige, pwede tayong magtalik, di na tayo magkakaanak. So, wala, tinatabi yung pagka-responsable, tinatabi yung pag-control o pag-disiplina sa sarili, ganyan. So, yung pagkatao yung mag-asawa, yun ang nasisira.
Ika nga, ninanakaw yung spiritual na katangian ng tao.
Yun nga po.
At saka
Dahil
siguro
nandun ata yung malayang kalooban na gawin yung tama,
Yun po.
ang wasto, yung mabuti. Nandoon siya na pag inalis, nagmimistulang hayop ang tao.
Yun nga po.
Na ang batayan lang ng desisyon niya ay kung ano yung masarap sa pakiramdam.
Yun po, tama po yun.
although I think kailangan natin tanda, yung sinabing negative effects ni Father says, it doesn't happen in one instance, di ba? Parang siguro hindi mo mariramdaman yung negative effects now, pero baka bukas, next month, doon na magsisimula yung papasok yung sa pagkasira nga ng tao.
Yes, that's
Actually,
right.
maaring, totoo yan eh. Totoo yan dahil maaring sa una walang epekto.
Sa una,
Pero kapag ang isang asawa nakikita niya yung kanyang asawa na nagpipigil, maaring hindi niya sinasabing bumibilib ako sa'yo. Pero sa totoo, over time, respect is developed.
That's right.
Trust is developed. Nababawasan din ng bangayan sa
Opo.
pamilya. Ang selosan
Opo.
sa pamilya dahil ako mismo ay magpapatibay na kaya niyang magpigil sa sarili niya.
Magdisiplina po.
Magdisiplina.
Actually, I have one question. I got it kasi habang nagsasalita si Edwin. Kasi you're saying, through the use of right reason, that's how we arrive at natural law. So, kung sabihin natin, for example, ako, si Edwin, kahit sinong tao, bakit hindi lahat ng tao is arriving at the same conclusion, assuming na lahat naman tayo gumagamit ng reason? So, how come we don't arrive at that same conclusion and therefore arrive at that natural law? Kasi yung ibang tao kumukontra na sinasabing wala doon natural law. I presume nag-iisip din itong mga to. So, how come iba yung conclusion nila sa conclusion na sinasabi natin ngayon?
Kasi disagreements between persons about certain things will not mean that there is no truth or there is relativity. There is everyone can be correct. There is always something true, and it so happens that because of our limited capacity to understand, to reason, or also because of bad habits or vices, our capacity to reason in practical terms and to discern what is right and wrong can be mistaken.
Or nababawasan yung kapasidad?
Yes.
Speaking
but that
of-
doesn't mean that there's no such thing as an objective truth or good.
Well, and speaking of limited capacity, we are being told right now that we have a few minutes left, so I think I'll better wrap up the show. First of all, Father says, any parting remarks would you like to say to our audience?
Well, I just want to tell the people that in order to understand the teaching of the Church about the truth or the natural law, we will just have to exercise a little bit our reasoning powers, be open, and try to go deeper into these reasons. And most probably, many people will agree that the reasons the Church might give for its pronouncements about natural law issues are very reasonable.
Edwin, do you have anything to...
Natural law kasi ay naturang batas na pinapangahalagahan ng buhay ng tao.
Opo, yes.
Pero bakit pinapangahalagahan? Dahil meron siyang dignidad. Saan nakatuon ang dignidad na to? Sa kanyang spiritual na katangian. Ang sinatawag, sabi nga natin sa simbahan, meron siyang banal na katangian, having been created in the image and likeness of God.
That's right.
Ang sana nga lang, ang batas pantao ay sana sigun sa natural law.
Sunod sana siya po.
Dahil human rights exist, di ba, Father? Because human life exists. Kaya tayo may batas pantao upang itaguyod ang karapatang pantao. Pero ang karapatang pantao ay depende sa buhay.
Opo. Sa human life.
Na pinampangalaga ang dignidad.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Edwin. Thank you very much, Father Sass.
Welcome.
I just like to end this episode by saying that there's this one intellectual. His name is Etienne Gilson, and he once said that natural law buries its undertakers, meaning that so many people have said that natural law does not exist. Natural law is dead. It's on its way out, and that what should be here is yung kumbaga yung tao, yung batas ng tao. Pero as we've seen through the years, hindi nawawala ang natural law. For some reason, it keeps making a comeback. And I have to say, on a personal note, it is funny na at the time na I got to realize yung importance of natural law was almost the same exact time na I got to know si Edwin and then I got to know si Father Sass. And it comes at an incredible moment na kung kailan lahat tayo ibinabattle yung evil of contraception. So there must be something there about the importance of natural law. Well, hopefully, we will see you again soon. And thank you very much, and I hope you've been able to learn from this show this time around. Well, that's it. Thank you very much. And what else? Bye-bye. See you again.